we focused way too much on talking therapy. We focus way too much on psychotherapy. And, talking about problems indeed is a good way. It's a good way to heal, to understand some things. But what the problem is, especially in trauma based, stories with people, is that the more you talk about the trauma, is doing more harm than good. It's actually re-traumatizing more. So what are you going to do with this? Hello, hello, beautiful souls listening to this podcast. Welcome to another episode where we discuss everything about healing, developing, and expanding ourselves to our full potential. I'm the host of this podcast. My name is Elisabetta, and I just deal with everything in the world, really, everything that we are curious to know more. I'm a life coach and soul therapist, and I'm also certified in various energy healing modalities. And it's just my pleasure to talk about different topics in each episode. Everything for our healing, deepest healing, and expansion of humanity's consciousness. So, in today's episode, we're going to go through a topic that it's quite controversial right now, especially during these times. Every person has really an opinion about it, to be honest. And yep, we're going to talk about conventional therapy, modern therapy in our world. And I believe that this is really something that we need to talk more about, right? Because in this society, we have like two types of people. We have like the holistic community of healers and light workers and therapists, and in a more Eastern approach. And then we have the other side, a different perspective completely, which is like the Western approach of healing, of curing diseases and illnesses. And we're talking more about psychology and therapy, conventional therapy, the normal thing that is what people accept. And I really believe that nowadays most people have this subconscious idea that if you don't have like a certification saying that hey, you are qualified for working, you completed a course or um, some degree or a master's, then you're not qualified to work with people. And this can be quite a misconception, especially nowadays that we as humanity, more and more people are thinking of creating their own businesses, are thinking of actually starting things anew from the old paradigm in this society. And this stems from what I believe, a very scientific based community, a very scientific based planet. Like, we are so empirically based. We believe that unless you don't have the experience to do something, you're not qualified. And in truth, this can be right, because if you didn't go through anything, like, you can't work through a specific area, right? So you can just basically ask, let's say, an engineer to teach as a teacher um biology concept, right? This doesn't make any sense. But then, taking this into account, this empirical evidence to have the qualifications to be worthy enough basically to work with people, let's say, I think this is greatly harming, our society, especially in the healing field, in the therapy field. Because as we are discovering, as we're going through hypnosis sessions now, they are super popular, and I really think that they are like one of the best methods to find answers from your subconscious, your higher self. We are actually saying that we are multidimensional beings. This means that we don't have to limit ourselves on only one dimension. It can be this dimension, it can be the area that we're working with. Like nowadays, you can't just um, be limiting yourself to be just a therapist, even if you have like a bunch of other skills and knowledge and wisdom. So, as we're going through life and actually finding out through hypnosis sessions or other methods, memories and dreams and just um deja vu, anything really, as we're finding out that we are not only just here in this life. Because I don't know about you, but I really believe that we have multiple lives and we reincarnate to learn in this planet and in other planets. In other planets, in the case of starseeds and walkings. But the question I would like to raise today was, what if we actually had the skills and knowledge from previous lives? What if we are actually qualified to work with people because we know? And just as an example, this usually happens with empaths. They are highly attuned people, usually called highly sensitive people, and I'm related to this term. Like I relate to this term. And one of the signs that you are an empath is that people just approach to you randomly. It can be on the street, it can be online. It happened to me lots of times through my whole life. At this point, I was like, do I have some psychologist or therapist face that everyone is attracted to me randomly? Like, seriously, I was walking outside and one day I had like two people asking me for directions. Why me? Why not everyone around? Why not everyone else? And not only that, like any other people just comes to me, even friends, they just generally, intuitively feel safe with my presence, with our vibe. And also online, I had and still having lots of people coming to me for help. And this is now the help I offer in my therapy and coaching sessions. And therapy, I just listen to your problems, I guide you to have certain, any self-regulation techniques. And in coaching, I just empower you. And these sessions are usually intertwined. They are combined as two. But living this aside, this empath vibe, this vibe that you are um, getting from people, and usually happens if you have like turquoise, indigo, purple, blue tones in your aura. These are the aura colors that attract um, these kinds of people, and that makes you a healer. And not only healer, but healer is like the whole term used for therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, light workers, empaths, grid workers, anyone really. So, what if we actually have this knowledge from previous lives and we are remembering this knowledge intuitively? Of course, many of us, myself included, are pulled to find these certifications, to just get certified so people believe us. Because when you're not certified, what usually happens is like, oh, but you don't have the experience, I don't trust you. We live in a society that we are constantly pulled to prove ourselves to others. And what I found in my business, in my coaching and therapy business, energy healing, is that this was a very huge, let's say, limiting belief I had to work on. Point is, you can help people. You can help people, and you don't necessarily have to, have a certification. Of course, you can get certified just to improve as a person, self develop yourself. But this is not entirely the point. I personally think that you should be focused on what's mostly important, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with you being certified, is your ability. This is like an interpersonal skill that you have to develop, the ability to hold space for others. Because many people can get certified, but then they fail miserably in listening to others, especially therapists. The amount of times that I heard therapists invalidating their clients, and then these clients, these people, these beautiful souls come back to me and tell me that they were invalidated, that they were, for example, they were told that their trauma is their fault, that people behaving in a toxic way with them is their fault. This is a basic red flag, like it's as big as a tower. You really have as a therapist if you are not doing this. As a healer, light worker, or therapist, psychologist, if you're working with people, you really have to be trauma informed, especially in this society. Many therapists are not trauma informed, especially for narcissistic abuse, which is one of the topics that is slowly gaining popularity. Some people might think this is a trend, but narcissists are here like for generations. Narcissism is a coping mechanism, which is rooted in trauma. So yeah, you have to be really trauma informed. Many therapists, what are failing to do so is the basic thing that is present in a healer's journey is to hold space for the soul, for the person coming to your help. And if we think about it, it's also not kind of their fault entirely. As I mentioned before, this is an interpersonal skill. But this society, which the education, which is highly regulated by the state, is not letting people to create new ways. The current education in psychology and mental health, what you usually learn in school and college, university, I believe it's very rigid, it's very old fashioned, and of course outdated. And we need new models of education. We need more open-minded perspectives, just as we are created. So the state might be controlling us, trying to control us in a way or another. And you can see it like everywhere. An example, a good example, like it's one of the best examples, could be the COVID crisis. And still, I know many places, especially in the US, that people are forced to take vaccinations. If not, they are not receiving help, especially therapy. And this could be, you're like, what? Are you serious, Lisa? Yes, I am. It's happening. People are so blind following orders. I sometimes think that we live indeed in a crazy world, and we think that we are the crazy ones. When in reality, if you're listening to this podcast, I can say for sure that you are the sane person among the crowd in your area at least. So yeah, we need basically new modalities, new approaches, and many people are saying so, and many people are taking action and already took action. And you can see all over the world more people are waking up, and just I just really get so happy and excited when I see this. And many holistic centers, healing centers are opening and already opened. And this is something really beautiful to see. So with this topic we can get to the main, let's say, um to the start of this episode today, and it's conventional therapy, and the fight with this new healing holistic modalities. So again, this is as a personal experience. Many people come to me and they just complain that previous therapists, therapies didn't work for them. And it has a clear reason. The reason is basically that with most modalities in the Western society, is that we focus way too much on the talking part. We focus too much on psychotherapy, which is basically about talking of our problems and just finding solutions through talking therapy, basically. And yet, what many therapists and mental health professionals generally fail to understand, I believe, is that by talking a lot, like way too much, about the trauma, specifically the trauma, if you're focusing too much on talking about it and having the memories again and again of what happened, it's actually re-traumatizing you and not doing the healing work that it's supposed to be doing. Because let's be honest, yes, talking about our problems, especially if we were silenced all our lives, if we were silenced in past lives, if we have like this trauma going for generations and for past lives, talking about this, it's a huge way to heal because you're basically unlocking your throat chakra. You're letting your voice speak. And not only with women, but many men struggle with this as well. This society has many hierarchical structures that are outdated and that need to just let go, that needs to be turned, that needs to be substituted by the new ones that are slowly emerging in this planet. Talking about this can save lives. Like, if you are in a toxic family and you were almost like, if not every day, you were told to shut up, that your voice doesn't matter. Talking about this, it's a great way, really. But I believe that if you are, talking a lot with trauma, aside from you feeling empowered from your voice, it can also do harm to you, because reliving the same experiences every day, every time you talk, and if you're not doing conscious work, it can be somatic, it can be energetic, to release the traumatic energies that are stuck, the emotions that are stuck in your body. It can help you to, just shock you again and again. It's like this shock therapy. I just remembered. And this is also, which I think it's one of the biggest mistakes in the Western approach of healing people, is to focus on the mind. Is to focus a lot on the mind. Is to focus on trauma, but based on a neurological response. And yes, there's many studies showing that when you're living with trauma, you can't develop functionally, you can't develop properly, actually. You can grow like another normal child. And you need to hold lots of space, a lot of compassion and understanding to you, because you didn't have an easy childhood. That's part of the healing process. But what this Western society does, and usually bothers me, because we are not going to really solve these issues, is to focus a lot not only on the mind. This is like the first point. They focus on the mind, and they totally forget about the somatic experience, the body experience in trauma. Because when you are on stress mode every time, like every day, trauma actually can be stored in the body as well. And even if you have like lots of coping mechanisms, lots of healthy approaches to deal with anxiety and to calm down your overthinking thoughts, your intrusive thoughts, at the end of the day, you're still feeling tensed and nervous in your body. You're still feeling it because there's energy stored there that it's not processed. And also on an energetic level, which is what I focused mostly in my psychic surgery sessions. Like this is really the problem in the Western approaches. I'm like so thankful that more and more people are going through a holistic um modality, which basically uh it's made for every person's singular, like particular experiences. And what a healer, or like what any doctor should do, really, is not just prescribing some random medication like, hey, you're depressed, here's some pills, here's some drugs. This is what most therapists and mental health professionals do. And like, if you're triggered, if you're listening to this, it's just something that needs to be addressed, because we're not really going to the root issue of the problem. We are really just taught how to cope with the symptom. Anxiety, panic attacks, and flashbacks are just symptoms, or of of something really going deep down of our being. So if we have, like, for example, if we're suffering from bipolar disorder, we really have like the root cause of it. I really like this example because it's so easy to see. And narcissism as well. But if you are struggling with this, you really have to see the root cause. What is the root cause? This let's call it mind struggles or mental health struggles. I don't like calling them disease, like conditions, because if you call it conditioned, you're like conditioned yourself to go through pain forever. And it's basically another mistake that we are doing in the mental health field. Like, you are going to therapy, you're going to get a new label. They are going to tell you that you have anxiety. They are going to tell you that you have PTSD. And you have to live with this label and condition yourself that you are not worthy, that you are just any less than what a normal human being can feel and can look like. But really, what the Western approaches are doing is just coping with the symptoms. If you have like those mental health struggles that I mentioned before, you probably live with a very dysfunctional, toxic family system, and you have an abandonment wound that you have to heal. That's why you're constantly scared that people will abandon you. That's why you constantly thinking that you are a bother and that people hate you and that they think that you are so annoying. You have an abandonment wound that originated from this household. And unless you don't heal this main wound, you will still struggle with this mental health illness. Because really, an illness is our body telling us that something is not right and we need to take care of it, not ignore it or run away. Another thing that we are seeing when we are prescribed these pills, these drugs, we become dependent on them. And second, we just use it to cope with it. We use it to avoid our real problems. Because when we have this medication, the symptoms just disappear, and we falsely believe, that everything is good, that everything is back to normal, that we are coping, when actually we didn't heal with the root cause. So this is what I really love about holistic therapy, which I work on. We find out the root cause of your struggles. Let's say you have depression. Depression can also be what I found out in psychic surgery. Depression can be to like living in constant 24/7 stress alert mode. And secondly, it's not living in your passion. It's not living in your purpose. It's not living what you really want to do. And this is another flaw that society has, basically, that we are so focused on just earning a living, surviving. We're just focused on surviving, that we don't have really like the energy and the time to invest in our passions. And investing doesn't necessarily mean like with money in financial terms, but investing our energy. We become so disconnected from ourselves. It's so crazy. And this is what we really have to change. This is what I'm telling, that if you really want to make the change, just start doing so. Start doing so right now. Because we need a society that focuses on their passions and their hobbies, and then earns a living with their hobbies, doing what they like, rather than just struggling every day and living paycheck by paycheck and waiting to just live, to just survive somewhere. What we really have to focus on nowadays, I believe, is to create healthy habits, to to reconnect with ourselves and our bodies, because we cannot keep running away from ourselves when we are shown basically with the problems. We can't run away with some temporary solutions and just keep dependent on these drugs of these mental health struggles. And this also goes for very, let's say, I would say serious, yeah, like any mental health issue. It can be anxiety, and it can be also like high stressful ones like depression and schizophrenia and any bipolar disorder or PTSD. We cannot keep running away. And I know it's very painful, but your body, your mind, your heart, and soul are literally screaming for your attention, because usually you have an unhealed inner child. And until you don't start to pay attention to these aspects that are wounded from mostly your childhood, you won't get real results. You won't get real growth. And no amount of drugs and medication will able to really heal it, to really just change the symptoms, to transmute the energy, and to actually make you grow and help you grow as a person. So really, before and even after you saw that many therapists didn't work for you, I highly encourage you, if you're listening to this episode, I highly recommend you to start going deeper into yourself, maybe journaling, maybe talking with yourself. Just go deep and ask yourself, why am I going through this? What is the cause? What is the reason? And the more you say the reason, just ask yourself another why, and then with any other why, you will get to the root cause. And if you need some help, you can also check my page, which is www.elizabetask.com, and we can book a session, a therapy and coaching session, and I can help you to go really deep into the answers that you've been seeking, and so you can start your healing journey. Like, everyone deserves help, everyone deserves healing. And if you're struggling, please know that you are not alone, and you actually have plenty of help available in your area locally or internationally, with other therapists and holistic mental health professionals that are willing to help you. And that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. So don't give up. There's still love and light that you can receive as well. And there's always hope. So I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you're listening to the video recording on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Elizabeth ISK. And if you are listening to this podcast and haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to do so. It helps me a lot, and you can stay updated for the latest episodes, goodies, and news that I'm posting everywhere on my social media. You can also sign up to my newsletter, and you can receive even more personal and special information, posts, articles that I post, and my latest videos. Everything you really need to start actually healing yourself and to start giving yourself the love that you really need and that you didn't get. So, having said that, I'm sending you a warm hug, and I wish you a great day ahead. Thank you so much for listening.